right, ladies and gentlemen, so we have ourselves another thread from Madam Savvy, that female gamer, going over all of the people who took it upon themselves to want to celebrate the death of Charlie Kirk. Now, this has been a rampant issue in the gaming industry. This is something that we already knew these people would celebrate. And of course, they didn't prove us wrong. They couldn't wait. Within less than an hour after the death was announced, there was celebrations going everywhere in the gaming industry. You had developers celebrating it. You had journalists celebrating it. You had all kinds of studio heads, people, executives, everybody. Everybody was celebrating it in the gaming industry for the most part, with some outliers here and there. They were condemning it. Now, this is something, as I said before, we expected. We already knew this was going to happen. And since they're celebrating it, we are now going to celebrate their celebration. So Madam Savvy has made an entire second thread that we are going to go over. We already made a video on the first thread. Let's make a video on the second thread and see what Madam Savvy has to provide us today. So there is a second thread of industry-related vile behavior celebrating the death of a man who promoted debate, not violence. This one will be better organized, starting with Epic Games Trust and Safety, Bungie SFX, and MTG Arena producer. A lot of people reposting Zoe Quinn. Now, one thing I will say really quick is that what these people are doing now, since the eyes are on them, because, you know, every time the eyes are on them, they immediately cower. It's kind of how it goes. They claim they're getting harassed. They claim they're getting all this shit. What they're starting to do is now, instead of saying things themselves, what they're starting to do is they're starting to quote tweet what other people are saying that they agree with so that they can argue, well, I didn't actually say it. So you're going to see a bunch of reposts and retweets from people on Blue Sky reposting things they agree with, but not actually saying what they want to say. So if you look at this screenshot here, Bruce Napnick over at Epic Games, he is trust and safety over at Epic Games, former senior threat intel analysis, AI attack and vulnerability aficionado, he, him pronouns. He almost fell off a shed and died. Well, luckily you didn't. Otherwise, people might have celebrated that. That'd be really awful. Bruce Napnick says, silence may speak volumes, but when specifically you choose to break it, it also says a fucking lot. And then they end up retweeting something that says right-wing media ecosystem operates by stoking hatred and anger and divisions every single day. They want people to constantly be afraid and want people to hate each other. Everything we are seeing is a result of destabilization the right has profited. I love it. This is great. The amount of projection is through the roof. It is actually astronomical levels of projection where you're trying to claim right-wing media when it's literally just media of all kinds of people that don't agree with your absolute fucking nonsense. But in any case, Bruce then also says anyone willing to act as an ICE agent or assist them in their endeavors deserves no place in polite society and should be openly named, exposed, and vilified. That's an interesting That's an interesting sentiment right there. Exposed, named, and vilified. But then you're the ones who claim harassment when you are exposed, named, and vilified. I don't know. I just find this to be really interesting stuff. So then if we continue downwards, we're going to see more of nonsense. Obviously, this is Dennis here, who is an FSX associate producer over at Bungie. He says he likes movies, Legos, and ripping card packs. He, him, of course. What do I do next? I'll use my moment in the spotlight to say free Palestine and protect the dolls. So what a lot of these people are doing, by the way, is they are actually out here trying to utilize their moment in the sun to then shill for Palestine. I don't get it. Like, these people are losing their jobs and they're like, I don't care if I'm losing my job as long as I get to tell people to go donate to Palestine. I'm like, are you guys fucking stupid? Like, what level of stupidity are we dealing with here? Now, we got some crazy shit going on here. This is an interesting one. Let's blow this up a little bit because, again, it's hard for me to see this. Zib, they, them. We covered this yesterday. This is the MTG Arena, previously at Sucker Punch, because, of course, Sucker Punch. And then it says Bear in the Blue Sky with all the emojis possible. Rest in peace, Dad. You would have loved laughing at Charlie Kirk's Icarus moment. Wow. Interesting. Charlie Kirk won't see your jokes about him getting shot, but people who lost family or friends to gun violence might. And as one of those people, I can keep posting those bangers. Fuck Charlie Kirk. Interesting. Nice one. And then this person, Danny Carr, says, hey, a fun thing to do today is support some awesome trans and non-binary creators. Yeah, because otherwise nobody ever talks about them. Not surprised. No one expects pre-order this person. I don't know who this person is. Pre-order read this when whatever. No one expects anything he says to be true. This is one of fascism's objectives, to make the truth irrelevant. His lies spin up a violent storyline that people either willingly inhabit or are trapped by its fiction. And keep in mind, guys, these are the ones that call you fascists. But the beautiful thing is fascists are the one that shoot and kill people that they ideologically disagree with, that they don't want to talk to, right? They like to suppress speech. That's what fascists do. You literally just did what fascism does, and you're projecting and claiming other people are fascists. This is amazing. The projection is through the roof. Hey there, Benji says, so what if he disagreed with you? He didn't deserve to die, but he thought I did. No, he didn't. Like, what the fuck? Like, oh my God, dude. This is the result of mainstream media perpetuating unbelievable bullshit to convince these people who are mentally unwell that the world is out to get them. That's the amazing thing. They are trying to convince them that the world is out to get them, that everybody wants to kill them, that everybody wants to remove their rights, that everybody wants to do whatever possible. Nobody wants to take you out, bro. But the funny thing is, you guys wanted to take them out. We know that's true because you did, right? So you clearly have shown that you are scared of the speech that is anti whatever the hell you're talking about. And you believed every single lie that was told to you to the point where you got radicalized so much that you took someone's life just because they were saying something that was opposite of what you were saying. Then he says, this isn't disagreement. It's someone who was not only opposed to my existence, but was called a good and faithful servant by the church for doing it. He wasn't opposed to your existence as a black person. But anyway, I don't have to mourn that. And asking me to is violence too. Oh my God. Oh my God. So now it's violence to say, hey, maybe don't celebrate the death of someone. Now it's violence. This is why nobody takes your words seriously, because you guys don't use words properly. You guys don't use the meaning of words properly. None of you do. You constantly push this bullshit of, oh, this is going to be violence to me if you do th-. Shut the fuck up, bro. Like, are you serious right now? Anyway, Zoe Quinn, of course, says it's going to be so weird watching establishment Dems be performatively sadder about this than they were about the colleague and her husband and the dog who got shot and killed. Now, the reason why we're going over all these posts is because, well, these people are quote tweeting it, right? Every single one of them are quote tweeting these people because they don't want to say it themselves. They want to just quote tweet it because it's easier to do that, right? This person says you are under no obligation to mourn the death of people who would have celebrated yours. That is not even remotely true. And again, these people are trying to convince everybody that it is so that it validates why they are celebrating the death of someone, as if they are the ones that are normal for doing so. Anyway, as you continue, we're going to scroll down here and we're going to check out this post right here. We got Fortnite and Rebellion as well. This is going to be interesting. Andrew Staley, let's blow up this picture really quick. Andrew Staley, the myth tech artist for video games, currently working on Fortnite. Environment material VFX artist, Northern Illinois, is home. He/him. Andrew Staley says there aren't many people in this world whose death would make me smile. This is one of them. What a perfect time to be at a bourbon festival. So not only is he supposedly smiling, but he's also trying to have a drink to it. He's celebrating it with a drink. What a great member of society. Andrew Staley says just made it to the hotel in Louisville for the festival. Just hearing about Kirk now. Gonna party even fucking harder now. Then he quote tweeted someone that says, you won't believe this, but Charlie Kirk actually did something to make the world a better place. Then he also quote tweets, hey, Jay at Blue Sky Team, you are very sorry about the death of a fascist. How many times have you spoken about the genocide in Gaza? A safe place, they said. Pathetic. Now, guys, keep in mind, again, any chance they get to try to make this about Gaza, to try to make this about Palestine, these people are obsessed. They're so obsessed that they refuse to leave. Go to Palestine. Like, nobody's stopping you from going to Palestine. I'm sure your U.S. money can get you very far over there. Go over there. Go over there with all your LGBTQ ideology. Go over there with every ideology you have and go over there and scream with rainbow flags to free Palestine. And let's see how that works out for you. But the simple truth is that you guys don't want to do that. Activism is a lot easier when it's done from the comfort of your home over on Blue Sky, where everybody there is agreeing with you for the most part. It's so easy. They'll ask you to mourn the deaths they mourn and no others. They'll ask you to cherish the lives they cherish and no others. Sounds very familiar. And then, of course, you had Jeff Grubb. Jeff Grubb decided to repost this. Anti-vaxxer finally gets shot, obviously. Wow. The left really can't meme, it seems. So let's continue. We got a lot more, guys. Like I said, stick around. This is going to be interesting stuff. He also retweeted someone like this: shooting Hitler doesn't make Hitler worse than Hitler. This especially is reasoning that both at Turning Point USA founders are dead from public health crises their organization worked hard to enable is the parable of our time. Political violence is never acceptable. It's a phrase you don't hear politicians say after cops beat the shit out of peaceful demonstrators. Yeah, we all know about the level of peaceful that these supposed demonstrators actually have. Let's be real, right? Like, you remember how peaceful their demonstrations were? You guys notice that after Charlie Kirk got off, that there's not a single town burning to the ground right now? But meanwhile, George Floyd got killed and the entire country had to burn with billions of dollars in damages almost immediately. Yeah, I'm sure it was very peaceful. In any case, it's not that I'm surprised the entire political and media apparatus on both sides of our miserable nation is whitewashing the work and legacy of a dyed-in-the-wool Nazi. It's just you're doing it that much, huh? Says Stella. And this, of course, was retweeted by the person working on Fortnite. Now, if we go back here, let's scroll down really quick. It's really this simple. He purposely agitated, called for the deaths of people I love. So, okay, he didn't purposely agitate. The man went to college campuses and had conversations with people, had debates with people. This is not purposely agitating. You didn't have to participate in the conversation. You didn't have to participate in the debate, but just sit there and admit that you don't want to have a conversation or a discourse. Actually, better yet, you don't have to sit there and admit it because you advocating for the death of Charlie Kirk proves that you don't want to have that discourse. Conversation is dead. There's no more time for talking, basically, according to you people. So let's continue. Now, let's switch over here. Now, obviously, you got the best of the best of the best, right? You got JC Lau, multi-award-winning game developer, game changer, SPG 100, BAFTA, next-gen leader, future class, she, they. I hope you like ferrets. If you're not in the U.S. or permanently online, it's definitely really weird to see the president of the United States demand that flags fly at half-mast for some rando guy you don't know who effectively amounts to a noisy internet influencer. Wow. Wow, the level of gaslighting is astronomical. So this is a rando guy who effectively amounted to nothing other than a noisy internet influencer. So why were you scared of that noise? Why were you? Why? Let me ask you that. Let me ask you that again. Why were you scared of that noise? Do you have an answer for that? If he's a rando, if he's somebody who effectively amounted to nothing other than being a noisy internet influencer, why were you scared of his noise? Why wouldn't you just let it be white noise? No pun intended. Why wouldn't you just let it just be a thing? It's very clear that you feared that noise. It's very clear that the noise was so damn loud that you couldn't ignore it. Why would you do that? This makes you wonder. JC says, it's giving only 25. My real friends would be brave enough to copy and paste his Facebook status energy. I had to Google this dude because legit, I was like, I don't know her. Yeah, okay. Okay, so you really mean to tell, anybody truthfully believe that this person, JC Lau, she, they, had no idea who Charlie Kirk was? Are you serious right now? Well, guess what? Thanks to somebody most likely in your party, you know exactly who he is. And everybody else in the world knows as well. You know what they call that? A martyr. You fucking idiot. Then if you continue downwards, you got Kid Fox Games and PC Gamer. Shout out to PC Gamer. They're in here. Rami is an indie turned speaker for no reason. We looked at him before. Basically DEI plant with Wings Interactive. Some of them are mass liking mock posts, but being careful not to write their own posts. If you look here, Brian Bucklew says serious political thinker voice. The Second Amendment is actually for the deposition of tyranny, not political violence. Everyone's brain is broken as hell. It's not hypocrisy to grieve the death of children, but not the death of those who promote the death of children. But neither is it hypocrisy. He can't even spell hypocrisy. He spelled it H-I-P-O. Who the fuck is this guy? He better not be on PC Gamer. You better not be writing articles spelling hypocrisy with an I, bro. Like, what the fuck is this? Dismantling the censure until they cannot hold. Haha, fuck yeah, yes. When the blood-dimmed tide is loose. Well, this fucking sucks. Maybe we should turn off the brain-breaking machines. I don't know. Right sides are all like leftists are violent. Evident from the late 19th century. Left sides like right-wingers are violent. Evidence from the 21st century. Facebook is 10,000 thoughts and prayers, half ironic. Bro, these people have lost their fucking mind. It is like, I don't even know if they had a mind to lose in the first place. This person says relevant, just quote tweets Charlie Kirk getting gunned down. And then he says, Ramby says, political violence is a term that exists to suggest a moral distinction between violence against politician and violence by politicians so that one can be condemned while the other can be normalized. Obviously, no such distinction exists in reality. Violence is violence. That is not to suggest that all violence is equal. Violence comes in many forms and should be judged on its necessity, the power dynamics at play, and the position of it, not by the influence or wealth or fame or political reach of the person or persons it was committed against. Well, see, here's the thing. He wasn't a politician. That's the sad part. He wasn't a politician. He was a social media influencer who was speaking about politics. And you guys decided to kill him over any other Republican out there, proving that what he was doing was way more effective than anyone out there. Comic artist DA True DT, big content creator with close ties to the game he makes content for, reposting a lot of Pierce and her buddy. Turns out the guy does acting, not just voice acting. You can see here, Silly Rookie over on Blue Sky, reposting Danny Cherry Jr. You can honor Kirk's memory by doing the thing he'd hate and donating to an organization that wants to help low-income trans adults receive gender-affirming care. Oh, so just keep the psychosis going. That's great. That's great. This is why, like, I never take these people seriously, because they don't actually want to help. They just want to be seen as helping, but they don't actually want to help the problem. They don't want to actually get into the nitty-gritty of what's going on. They just want to say, nope, we're going to continue the psychosis and keep donating to people who can get gender-affirming care, get their titties chopped off, balls chopped off, all that stuff. Like, they don't give a shit. They just want the perception of virtue, not actually being virtuous. And you have, again, the truth. Sit down with Amatsu, Ken, and Geppy. I try not to talk much besides Dokkan and gaming and sports on here, especially like my personal life. My thoughts on politics and stuff, I will on stream. Usually people ask me, but these days, very limited talk on this stuff from me on here. With that being said, motherfuck Charlie Kirk and everything he stood for. Nice. Very nice. And everybody, of course, leaving responses that everybody can clearly see. You are actually a fat piece of shit for cheering on the death of someone. Way more likes, by the way. Alex says, glad you showed your true colors, scumbag. Apparently, he is a big Dragon Ball Z content creator and is the one with the beard. Makes sense, considering they call him a fat piece of shit. The other three are Asian, so they're not fat. Makes sense. So, and then you got, oh, here's another one. Life is Strange. Of course, Life is Strange is one that is involved. A Life is Strange writer. By the way, how's your game doing? How's those layoffs going? Very upset. Consequences are happening. Studio Dry Dock narrative designer hoping that he dies. If you look here, Aisha, which I'm sure is not really an Aisha just from the picture, but whatever. GDC award-winning game writer, narrative designer. Life is Strange, Hive Swap, Magic the Gathering, Pathologic. Formerly a narrative lead at Deck 9 Games. Invite me to your podcast. If you look here, she says, oh my God, DC canceled Gretchen's comic series because he made a vaguely mean tweet about Charlie Kirk. Vaguely mean. Vaguely mean. You guys, if you didn't see the tweet from the DC comic artist, you can go see my previous video on it. Are you fucking kidding me? This person says. They're scared the far right will do them in if they don't make an example of her. It's common or garden appeasement towards people who would line them up against a wall regardless. Unbelievable. If you look here, Christopher Means praying when Charlie Kirk was unknown whether or not he was actually dead. He was crossing his fingers and hoping that Charlie Kirk would actually die. Senior narrative designer and head necromancer over at Studio Dry Dock. He, him, by ADHD. Nice. So you're gay, impatient, and retarded. That's very nice. Very nice. So that's basically it for the entire thread from Madam Savvy, the second one. What I'm going to do is I'm going to link this thread in the description box below. If you guys want to go check out the publicly available information that Madam Savvy has posted over on X, you are more than welcome to. I find it to be highly interesting. And again, all we're doing is celebrating the celebration that these people are having. I feel like they would have no problems with that. I feel like we have every right to celebrate the behavior of other people and what they're doing. So that's what we're doing. So shout out to you guys. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, consider hitting that like and subscribe. And I'll see you guys on the next one.